It just wouldn't be a communist attempted takeover of all of our major cities without Hillary Clinton commenting, there needs to be some brainwashing going on, and no one's better at it than Hillary Clinton. Welcome to Doug in Exile. This is where the happy patriots are. Hope you guys leave a comment below. Shout out to the Quad Club. Let's go. Here's Hillary Clinton left this tweet. She says California Governor Gavin Newsom didn't request the National Guard be deployed to his state following peaceful demonstrations. Trump sent them away. It's the first time in 60 years a president has made that, Trump sent them anyway. It's the first time in 60 years a president has made that choice. Trump's goal isn't to keep California safe. His goal is to cause chaos, because chaos is good for Trump. So how does chaos work with the National Guard? That's very strange to me. Seems like the National Guard stops chaos. Just remember this quote from George Orwell: the party told you to reject the evidence of your eyes and ears. It was their final, most essential command. That's George Orwell in 1984. The number one thing that the Democrats are trying to do is to convince you that this is a peaceful protest. It's all Trump's fault. They're going to go, are you going to believe us, or are you going to believe your eyes? That's the final party command. Here's why Hillary Clinton is so upset, though. She's just mad because when you realize that Jill Biden was president and you weren't, she's just mad that thanks to the auto pen, Jill Biden was our first female president. And now for more, this is on who are the communists funding this thing. We're going to get to the bottom of this because they're handing out water, they're handing out earplugs, and masks. Someone's funding this.
And you kind of get to learn what the agitators look like. And I'm seeing a decent amount of them out here right now, always dressed in black, always with face coverings, not holding any signs. And as I told you earlier, Sean, a lot of people were showing up here and they were being given earplugs, gas masks, water bottles, not to drink. A lot of those water bottles are being thrown. So, unfortunately, it looks like we might be heading for another night of things crossing the line here in Los Angeles. And as we're waiting for apparently more National Guard and more U.S. Marines to head down here to Los Angeles, we're not seeing any of them in the streets. The National Guard, they're basically sitting around federal buildings helping protect them. They're not out in the streets pushing these protesters back. This is all the locals. Everything you're looking at in front of us right now is LAPD. It's not California Highway Patrol. The LA Sheriff's Department is behind us. This is all LAPD. And we heard the chief of LAPD say last night they're a bit overwhelmed. And, that's... Once these agitators come out in huge numbers and LAPD has to constantly respond to different areas, they reported that some of these people were using radios to communicate with each other last night to report law enforcement movements. So it's complicated for law enforcement as well. But this is essentially the game that gets played all night long here. This is the main protest crowd. Police will try to push them back. They kind of melt away like water. We'll go down another alley, reemerge somewhere else. LAPD will get a radio call, have to go respond to them. And every now and then, you'll have these 10, 15-minute spurts where it's quiet, and then people will start throwing water bottles and fireworks again, Sean. But, I mean, you're seeing it in front of us, a lot of foreign flags, and certainly seeming to be kind of a different crowd than what we saw a few hours ago earlier this evening. Definitely, you can feel the tension building. You can definitely feel like as the sun is about to go down here, we could be in for another rough night.
Spam paid astroturfing. This thing is funded. At least the most violent rioters that want anarchy, and they are running the Democrat Party. It's the Democrats' only hope for a win. Here's Rep. Anna Paula Luna with some great news. Thanks to the investigative work of Data Republican, House Oversight will issue a formal document request of Neville Singham regarding his funding of communist group linked to the LA riots and the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party. If he refuses to appear, he will be subpoenaed. And if he ignores that, he will be referred to the DOJ for prosecution. So we're getting to the bottom of this whole thing. Now just remember how the New York Times handled when Sam Alito, this has to do with the Supreme Court, when Sam Alito's wife put together that from our Revolutionary War, the good guys against Britain, they would hang flags outside of their house that had political slogans on them. And Alito's wife flew this flag over her home. This is another provocative flag was flown at another Alito home. The judge Justice's beach house displayed an Appeal to Heaven flag. Appeal to Heaven is so controversial to the left. A symbol carried on January 6th and associated with a push for a more Christian-minded government. Of course, it was flown in about, I think it was like 1780 or something. It was a lot earlier than that. It was on our ships. Now, that's how they talked about the foreign flags, or a different flag under Alito's wife. Let's see what they say about the foreign flags being flown during these riots. Here it is. A Mexican flag becomes a potent LA protest symbol. That is the New York Times. That's what I mean by the way the media comes at you. The Democrats are trying to always spin and market, and the Republican side, we have our own true-based branding. The less it's about our opinion, the better it is. So, but it's a fact that New York Times, that's supposed to be a neutral news engine, is not. It's doing the Democrat carrying their water against Alito's wife and for the Mexican illegals. Now, here's more on, they're bringing in the Marines. They should be showing up already today.
Meantime, we expect to see Marines on the streets of LA at some point today. We know that 700 Marines left their base in 29 Palms. That's in the Palm Springs area east of Los Angeles. Yesterday, we believe they overnighted at Naval Station Seal Beach, but they should be on the streets later today. Jillian?
I have a kind of a different belief about the Marines. You're going to see later that the Democrats all say they're not going to do anything. Karen Bass said earlier today, what's left for them to guard? We have it under control. The Marines are there to support, and I believe Trump is going to pull the trigger on the Insurrection Act. If that happens, if we have a Foreign Invaders Act, that the foreigners are coming in, I think the Marines will already be there on the ground. Now, this affects the big, beautiful bill. This whole argument does, because guess what the big, beautiful bill has in it? A whole bunch of funding against illegals to have them secure the border, more deportation, more ICE officers, more Border Patrol enforcement. Well, one of the provisions in there was to tax all of the money sent back to Mexico from illegals, to tax it 3.5%. Some of the hardcore fiscal hawks, they want to jack it up to 15%, which I support. Today, I introduced legislation to quadruple the proposed remittance tax in the big, beautiful bill. For too long, we've let the world plunder our nation's wealth. America's our home, not an income zone. It's end to mass migration and take back the control of our country. America is not the world's piggy bank. Senator Eric Schmidt calls for quadrupling the remittance tax to 15%. That's a cut into Mexico's number one import, which is our money by illegal workers. So this is affecting, by the way, all this riots in LA will help get the big, beautiful bill through. After the Senate marks it up, sends it back to the House, positive news. Now on some negative news, here's Gavin Newsom. We are witnessing the downfall of Gavin Newsom in real time. So this is him freaking out.
I mean, it's, again, sober and serious moment. Meanwhile, can I just add, and this is why I told the president, just get it over with. Arrest me. Move on. If you need some head to scalp, do it with me, but stop messing with these kids.
It's about the kids. That's the Democrats' favorite play. It's not about the adult rioters smashing police cars, throwing rocks at them, attacking women on the streets, plundering Apple stores, breaking glass, graffitiing everything, making just an absolute mess. It's about the children. I didn't see one child in all the footage yesterday. None.
Stop messing with 4-year-olds. Kids in
it's 4-year-olds.
Elementary school. We've got kids. We have hundreds of graduations down here. Kids are not going to their own graduations. Families, grandparents here legally, mixed status families in some cases, scared to death to go to a graduation.
Well, maybe they should, if they're illegal, if they didn't do anything wrong, they don't have to worry about showing up in public. That's my warning to all illegal aliens. Some of them are going to stay here. You can't go around in public anymore if you're an illegal alien. Now, it's true that you have some level of cover if you're not doing even more crime. If you're not involved in money laundering, trafficking people, trafficking drugs, you're going to be, we're going to touch you last.
People are scared to walk down the streets. It's not just Home Depots getting their car washed. We have incidences. I didn't believe it because what was I thinking? I actually believed when they said this is not true. But then I saw videos. They're doing checkpoints, checking people's IDs. We've never seen this kind of deployment in so many actions. It's mass panic out here in the nation's largest county, in the nation's largest state. Good, hardworking people, decent people. These are not the criminals.
Actually, we did see checkpoints with COVID. I remember doing a drive-through out here where they made me expose my family to getting their nose poked. There was a line of cars, checkpoint. By the way, Gavin Newsom, they called in the National Guard to help administer some of that medical. So bringing in the National Guard, not a big deal, done by everyone. Bringing in the National Guard was done by Obama. It was done by everyone but Biden. So only Biden didn't want to use the National Guard. Trump has them ready. It was done by Obama. It was done by Bush the second, and it was done by Bush the first.
You're looking live at Los Angeles, where for a fourth night in a row, protests against ICE are raging out of control. The president has now called up the Marines to join the National Guard to protect law enforcement over the howls of Mayor Karen Bass and Governor Gavin Newsom. They insist it was the president's response, not the violent protesters setting cars on fire.
Look at this. It looks like ants. That looks like an anthill. There's just thousands.
Responsible for the destruction. LA's own police chief begs to differ.
Is getting increasingly worse and more violent. Tonight we had individuals out there shooting commercial grade fireworks at our officers. That can kill you. We are overwhelmed as far as the number of people out there engaged in this type of activity.
He was only telling us what we could see with our own eyes. And maybe that's why Trump's immigration policy is so popular. A recent CBS poll found that 54% of Americans support the president's program to deport illegal migrants. That's up from 38% in 2016. And according to a Harvard poll, that number rises to 80% when it's immigrants who have committed crimes.
Yeah, those are the ones that the ICE agents busted Friday night at the Home Depot. Tom Homan. They didn't go looking for normie illegals, pedestrian illegals. They went to a Home Depot and they caught guys. I can't even say the heinous crimes here on YouTube because it'll get the channel flagged. It goes against their policy. That's how bad they are. Like, I literally can't tell you what they are. So yeah, really heinous crimes. The ones going, oh, these poor people that you're terrifying them. I want people that are involved with child trafficking to be terrified. Makes me feel really good. Now, this is Pete Hegseth being questioned.
Where in your limited budget, sir?
Your budget's limited, Pete. It's so limited.
Are you going to find, in the remainder of this fiscal year, are you going to pull the money to cover these deployments? What holes are being created?
Well, Congresswoman, thank you for the question. You are right. We are both originally from Minnesota, which is why I recall 2020 quite well, when Governor Walz abandoned a police precinct and allowed it to be burned to the ground, and also allowed 5 days of chaos to occur inside the streets of Minneapolis. The police precinct, ma'am, was abandoned and burned to the ground.
Yep, it was. That's a fact. And she didn't want the conversation to be steered to this because that also shows how the LAPD has all of their police departments at risk. The best thing about Trump sending the Marines and the National Guard in there is they can help control guard buildings, and that frees up LAPD to go into the city and actually do their local law enforcement, which is what they're supposed to do.
And because of that, the National Guard was eventually far too late mobilized. And President Trump recognizes a situation like that, improperly handled by a governor, like it was by Governor Walz, if it gets out of control, is a bad situation for the citizens of any location. So in Los Angeles, we believe that ICE, which is a federal law enforcement agency, has the right to safely conduct operations in any state and any jurisdiction in the country, especially after 21 million illegals have crossed our border under the previous administration. ICE ought to be able to do its job, whether it's Minneapolis or Los Angeles.
I have limited time. I asked a budget
and they
question.
Are being,
Could the secretary please address the budget? Thank you.
You asked about the situation in Los Angeles, and we believe ICE agents should be allowed to be safe in doing their operations, and we have deployed National Guard and the Marines to protect them in the execution of their duties, because we ought to be able to enforce immigration law in this country, unlike what Governor Walz did in 2020.
He actually didn't answer the question, which I think is funny. I'm fine with it. Forget her. Don't care. Glad you're offended. She asked where the money's going to come from. Well, one place the money needs to come from is the big, beautiful bill that'll greatly fund and expand all of these activities, especially given they're going to try and pull this off for the next 4 years to undermine, destroy America, to get all the Democrats in all of the cities, the concentration of power in the cities, which Thomas Jefferson was against. They're going to try and weaponize it and use it to have the great American reset. Just wait till the Olympics come to LA. They're going to have people from every country, probably paid for and organized by George Soros and his goons, to come and destroy LA further. And if Democrats keep voting for this stuff in LA, I'm talking about the citizens that vote for Democrats, you're voting for this. You voted for the fires in Palisades. Now you voted for the riots in LA, and you vote for every act of violence from a leftist that's paid for by your party and your votes. So my sympathy only goes so far. I do feel bad for every Republican there. I'm Doug in exile.